Good evening and welcome to Unsilenced. I am Lisa. This is Pastor Cardan. And tonight we kind of want to give you a recap of who we are and how we came into the ministry. We're going to give you a little history of where we started before we became pastors on into what we are doing now. So I hope you stay tuned. Never know, it might get a little interesting.
I raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemy.
So I can tell you that I became a Sunday school teacher. And the way that I became a Sunday school teacher, I thought was kind of interesting. See, I used to belong to this church in East Linda, and I was kind of an elder, though I was very, very young. I was like 16 years old. Basically, for me, I'd been through a lot of things. I've done a lot of stuff. I've been a ringleader. I've messed up a lot of things in life. But when it comes down to it, once I got a hold of God, or should I say God got a hold of me, there was something there that had me hooked, and I grabbed onto it with both hands. And I wanted everything that God had for me. And so when I was 16 years old, I was very, very serious. And I was kind of like I said, I was like an elder of the church, believe it or not. But I wasn't an official elder. I was just somebody that went in there and I prayed with them. I was in the adult class. I was very adult for my teenage years. Anyway, so I left. I became a truck driver, and I left for a while, and I came back. And for a while there, I did not come back because I knew the pastor was stepping down, and I couldn't see myself going to a different church with a different pastor. And that was such a mistake because, one, he didn't actually step down, and I could have been so much help to him, I believe, during that time, to the pastor. And the second thing is that I realized that there are other people that serve God, that are servants of God, that are, that are great people, and you should give them a chance as well.
Yes.
Because I guess we get so connected to our pastors and to our leaders and stuff like that. We say to ourselves, I just can't see myself having another leader. But God has many leaders, many
Yes.
people available. And some people, they may even, be similar in certain ways, or they may be different and they may be able to feed a different side of you. So, I mean, a different interest or strengthen you somewhere where the other previous pastor did not, or whatever. And so anyway, I went to the place was called East Linda Pentecostal. And it was kind of interesting because I was going to evening services, and I wasn't really ready to rear my head yet. I wasn't, I was a little shy. I'd been away for a long time. I've been a truck driver. At the time, I felt that I needed to be right before the Lord, so I need to clean myself up. And it was just when things started to calm down in my life that I felt the Holy Spirit to say to me, "Go home." And that meant go back to my old church, the one that I was not going to. And I went home. And when I went there, it was quite strange because it was like everything that I had back then with the previous church and the previous leadership was restored back to me within a month. I was at the altar. I was praying with everybody. I became a leader of the men's group. And the scariest thing of all is I became a Sunday school teacher.
It's kind of funny how God just kind of said, you know what, although you walked away, but I'm going to put you exactly where you were.
Yeah, exactly. And it was very, very strange to me how that happened and how everything was like as if I had never even left. And it was very, very strange. So one day I'm up driving. I worked for FedEx Ground at the time, and I'm driving up the hill going towards Reno, and basically about 20 miles short of Lovelock. And we go out there and we switch the trailers, and I take their trailers back and they take mine all the way to Salt Lake City. And I go back to Sacramento. Well, anyway, as I'm driving up there, I'm kind of praying and meditating. All of a sudden, I feel the presence of God come upon me. And I feel like the Lord's saying, "You're going to work for the church." I'm like, "I'm going to work for the church. What are you talking about?" And I don't know why, but I had to open my mouth and I said, "Am I going to work with the youth?" And I felt the presence of God again, like it was a very strong reassurance. And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm going to work with the youth." And I went in there and I was so afraid. I was shaking. And I remember one of the kids, they caught it right off the bat. They're like, are you nervous? I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous." I'm supposed to be the teacher here, but it's not really happening for me. I don't know what to do. I was terrible. to my teachers. I tore them apart. I mean, I was rebellious. I was a class clown. I was funny. I got myself into so much trouble. They wanted to move my desk outside because I was sat outside so many times for timeouts. I thought this was coming back to haunt me. I was so afraid. But that's not what happened, is it?
No, no, it's not. My beginning, which was it was a little bit different. My beginning was my mom was pastoring a church in Lincoln at the time, and it was during her first like shot at ministry, her first time pastoring a church. And we had a couple kids that came in the door that it was just a very small congregation. There's only like 2 or 3 people that would come. And then we got up to about 15 people. And like I said, there was a couple teenage kids that came and my mom goes, you know what, you're going to teach them. And I was like, I don't know anything about the Bible. And she goes, no, you're going to teach them. And I'm like, okay. And so knowing that I had my babies that were young at that time too, I was like, okay, I can do this. And that's what started getting me in the word. And I was like, okay. And so I started picking up on it. Well, then of course I went through my rebellion phase, walked away from the church, that kind of thing. And then when my mom started pastoring over there at East Linda, Pentecostal Church of God, I kind of followed her, but I'd only attend services once in a while because I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and I did it to make my mom happy. And then all of a sudden it seemed like things started going in motion. It was like God was drawing me in more and more because I had more and more people saying, hey, why don't you come to service? Why don't you attend this service? We would love to see you. And you were one of them. You were one of them trying to encourage me into the door. And I kept saying, no, no, no. And then finally I stepped in and I started going to all the services. And it was like, my mom put me in that kids ministry back then, and I was able to use some of the creativity and the tools that I already had from, having my kids to where that I ended up jumping in and we did Royal Rangers and Missionette.
Lisa had such a following with the teens.
Yeah.
She had a very motherly appearance to them, young motherly, because keep in mind, the first time I met her, she had blue hair
Oh,
and
geez.
she looked like she was in a midlife crisis, though she
Yes.
wasn't that old yet. And she looked like she was trying to be one of the teens. But I watched her and I saw how she related to the teens. There was always children around her all the time. She was kind of the mom of the neighborhood. She had a great love for them. It's interesting. One time God showed me, and I don't even know how exactly, but he showed me what a sweet spirit my then not my wife at the time
We're
had.
friends.
Yeah, and I started drawing near because of that. Now she was already in another relationship with another person, and she was,
Oh my
in a
God.
very rocky relationship and not heading in the right direction at the time. But I also was very respectful of that. But I also wanted to encourage her because she had such a good following with the youth.
Yeah.
And that's why her mother put her as the leader of the Royal Rangers, which formerly was known
And
as the
Missionette.
Pathfinder or Pathlighter program.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And you were part of that too. I mean, you were a teacher of the boys and I was the teacher of the girls.
For a bit there, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it got so big. We took 72 kids to Six Flags that year. So that youth group just kind of grew and grew and grew. And it was amazing to see. I think the hardest part of that ministry is whenever my mom got sick and we found out she had cancer and we watched the church kind of dwindle down and then whenever she had passed away, it was like the youth group was gone and it was sad
Many
because
things that happened that year.
a lot of things happened and it was enough to discourage anybody. But that's when, well, right before she had passed, you and I had gotten together and we got married
That'll
and
happen.
yeah, we ended up together. We got
It was
married
not
and
planned.
no,
That's what I need everybody to know. It was not planned. I did
no,
not plan on being with Lisa. Actually, was with somebody else. It was a bad deal. And
we both were in bad
yeah,
relationships.
exactly. And we both kind of fell on hard times. And honestly, that's kind of what brought us together. And then we just got closer and closer. And then it was really strange because if you remember, we were out there, kind of feeling around whether or not we were going to get married and what was going on with life and stuff like that. And then we're walking Buddy. Do you remember the story?
No.
We're walking Buddy, and the
Oh,
gentleman comes up
yeah,
to
and
us.
that guy came up and told us the testimony on how that or, like, he spoke over our lives saying how that we were gonna be youth leaders and we were gonna have a big ministry and just it was I can't remember everything that he said, but, I mean, we were just standing there in awe. We
Basically
went
ran
to
on mail.
Collins Lake,
Yeah,
and we just walked the dog while the kids were fishing and
he just walked right up to us and started
yeah.
calling us out and started reading our mail and telling us what God had to say and that he was going to bless our relationship. And I kind of think that's kind of what sealed the deal. What kind of made us think about, okay, we're
Yeah.
getting married. So because before that, I think we were kind of wondering, what should we do here? Being out of a messy relationship, the situation with mom, my mother-in-law, who was like a mother to me, by the way, and I loved her dearly. We spent a lot of time. We went to a lot of
This was before she got
Denny's.
sick before we knew she was sick, that is.
Went to Denny's, went to IHOP, went almost every weekend, spent a lot of time together. She was, she was kind of my mentor in a lot of ways. And this is before Lisa and I even thought about getting together. And then all that was kind of happening at the same time. So we didn't really know where we were going with our future. And we didn't know if mom approved of our
Yeah,
future
we
either,
didn't.
So
Which is kind of funny. But, and then during that time, whenever we were running the youth group, right before we found out mama got sick, we ended up doing a baptism service. I still feel blessed today that, my mother and my husband baptized me before my mom passed. And like I said, things started moving forward and we went on that trip to Collins Lake and we ended up having that prophecy over our lives. We got married. And once we got married, it was like we started picking back up and we started doing, what we could to support mom. And then mom got sick. And so we started supporting her and we brought her into our home. We took care of her. We did everything we could for her. We honestly believed that God was going to heal her because she still had so much more of a ministry to do. So for her to pass away the way she did, it was kind of a real big shocker to us because we're like, Lord, you're just not finished. But then I realized God had showed me later on that we are to finish her ministry. Like we are part of that. Like we are to carry on for where she left off. And so whenever God started drawing us into the ministry after she passed, we ended up going to Lighthouse Christian Center and we went around to a few churches kind of looking around, but also it was my way of grieving to go to church services and get all that God had for us. And we finally settled at Lighthouse Christian Center. And the pastor that was there put us in the youth ministry when the other youth pastors decided to walk away. And so he said, you know what, you guys take over. Name it.
yeah.
Yeah, they stepped down. Great people, though. Very sweet people. We took over. We renamed the youth group, and the youth group just excelled from there. We had anywhere between, in the beginning, we only had,
It was
5
tough.
kids?
It was tough at first. It was our kids.
We
but
had our 5 kids, and then we had 1 kid from the pastor's family. And then it kind of grew from there. And we ended up getting up to like 20 kids.
Yeah, actually, it was Michaela. She, I try not to use names actually, but anyway, the point is we had one girl that pretty much invited everybody,
Hmm.
and it was just one person that God called and just invited everybody and just helped us grow so much.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I mean, and the need for love, the need to be not just a place to go, but a place to be safe, a place to be loved, a place to find hope in Christ. And a lot of them did. But I'll tell you something, even the ones who did not adhere to Christ, they still stuck around us because they knew that they were in a safe place and they felt loved.
Yeah.
It was a good environment for them. And for that reason, we had 50 to 70 kids in the end.
It just depended on the service. I mean, it was a beautiful thing. And seeing these kids, I remember we were talking to one of our other youth pastors in the organization because our church is part of Pentecostal Church of God, which is one main office in a district. And then we have lots of churches all over the United States and even
Local churches.
overseas.
Yeah, overseas.
So, I mean, there's hundreds of churches under PCG, and we get to be a part of that. And the church Lighthouse Christian Center is part of that group. Seeing those kids, and we were talking to another youth pastor of one of the churches, and we were like, look, how do we get our kids? We want to make sure that, they're getting as close to God as possible, because we always sought guidance on how to lead these kids.
Yeah, we wanted to know how to do it like they
And he
did.
said, if you want them to love God, then you show them how you love God, and they'll love them the same way.
Actually, let me correct that. He said, if they love you, they'll love God.
Yeah, if they love you, they'll love God.
So in other words, if they love Christ in you, then they'll recognize that and they'll love God because they love you.
And we watched these kids grow, and to where they were lifting their hands in worship, and they were getting in prayer circles, and we were watching their light come on, like seeing them so inspired, getting excited. Like whenever we'd have services, they couldn't wait to get there. And then we also gave them challenges to where they were excited to invite their friends. And like Pastor Cardan said, we had anywhere between 50 and 75 kids, depending on the service. And we got to do big, event days. Like we did youth. We did, what do we call that youth? Summer Bash. That's what it was. Summer Bash. And Summer Bash, we invited another church over, and they helped us deliver the word. We had a teenage girl that was on fire for God deliver the word to the other teenagers, because we knew that if we had a teenager deliver the word, it hits a lot more closer to home, because we had teenagers.
Yeah. Old guy talking doesn't always do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we had rap artists come out, and we had just games that really sparked their interest. Pudding Slip and Slide is the one that took the cake for me.
Okay,
That one
so
was great.
Now we're skipping. We're to look at two different events though here.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we had a couple bashes.
We did.
And then what happened is actually just to kind of cap that off, we had lots and lots of kids. And actually at the time I was praying. I said, Lord, you either got to get me out of here or you got to get me some reinforcements, because all I have is a bunch of teenagers with a bunch of hormones. And I mean, just all these kids. It was crazy. I mean, just, all this hyperness and stuff like that. And it was just basically just Lisa and I, for the most part. And we had a couple other moms there, but there's a lot of kids. It was really a lot of kids. And so anyway, what happened was we ended up taking the church here in Sheridan. And we honestly thought that at the time, being right in the middle of two towns, we figured that, perhaps we could get the attention of both towns, including our own, and that it would, really blow up. But that's not exactly what happened. But we had a couple really good events, and we spent a lot of money bringing some people out. And we had rap artists come out and until like 1 o'clock at night, but we also had altar calls. We had a lot of fun. We had, like I said, the Pudding Slip and Slide with my daughter. She decided she was going to go down at first, and boy, she took advantage of it.
Yeah, she swam through and ate it.
We have a video. I don't even know if she swam through it. I think she scooped it up with her face. It's actually quite funny, because you think about it, everybody else actually wanted to go behind her, and she wanted to be first for a reason. I mean, but we had fun with that. We had hot dogs, which we grabbed with our toes, inside this spaghetti water, which was pretty gross.
Yeah.
We had snack shacks. We had 2 bounce houses. And of course, they always had to, hit me with whipped cream or some other food item or something like that. So, we're tagging each other with food, and the poor front of the church is now completely, graffitied. So I mean, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, and that's how we came into Sheridan.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever we first got here to Sheridan, of course, it was new grounds for us because we were pastors. And man, I'll tell you, I think the hardest part coming into being pastors of the church for me, my hardest part was letting go of the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Because we knew that, first of all the kids were growing up. A lot of them had already pretty much passed, like they were having their own families and moved away. A lot of the older generation kids. And then we still had some that were still in high school, and we tried our best to hold on to them, but it was so hard with them living down in Marysville, and here we are in Sheridan. So we did what we could to hold on to them, and we still message a lot of them today. A lot of them still reach out to us because, we love them kids, and we invested in them, and we we did life with them, you know? And so it's kinda neat that they still reach out every now and then and they kinda check in. But like I said, it was hard to let go of that. But knowing that God was graduating us into a new part of life, a new journey into pastoring, it was an honor, and I feel grateful for it. And I'll tell you what, when I first saw this church and my husband's like, well, we got called here to preach a few times, and it was like we saw the grounds
We
and the
just came in
grounds
to
were
give us
not taken care of. It was quite sad, but this church had a history. It really did. People had rented out the house and they had misused it. They tore it down. Like the house was boarded up.
Sure that he got sick and things kind of got out of hand from there. He was not able to be here, and the grounds were left unattended. You know, it can go from there.
Yeah, it ended up being quite a chore to get this place back in order. I mean, the grass was waist high in some areas. The flower beds up by the church, we have pictures of it, and you can't tell that there's actual rose bushes in there because the weeds are so grown up high. The house was boarded up. The back room of the house was literally falling, the floor was falling out.
Our bedroom had a ramp that went straight in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went straight to the floor. It was just all rotted out. It'd fallen out to the bottom. We had to, obviously fix the floor. The bathroom, what is our bathroom today, was actually a small little bedroom with a bunk bed in there and no light. And it must have been like used a flashlight or whatever. It was just very, very unlivable. 5 breaks in the house where mice had eaten the wires in the home. It just took out the carpet. I mean, basically, this place was dead, and we just renovated the whole thing. And the interesting thing about it is one, not having any experience being a pastor, and two, not having experience being a contractor. I got to do both.
That was like a speed course.
But COVID happened, and we had to do something. And so for the first few months, I was working on some of the dry rot and stuff like that, trying to make this place, I didn't know where to start.
Presentable,
I was trying to
yeah.
make it presentable. And then COVID happened. And actually, I remember one night I got very, very sick and I didn't even know why. And right then and there, you asked my son, Chris, you asked me to go ahead and take him to that program, that military program or CA or
Yeah.
whatever. And man, I was dead. I was so dead. And I took him all the way to Sacramento.
That's
And that was
that's Lathrop.
it's about all I could do. I mean, really, it was about all I could do. I came back and I was so out of it and just drained. And from about that point on, then shortly after COVID happened, they did the shutdown. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know, I'd seen too many movies. I've seen Breakdown. I've seen too much stuff. So I'm like, what if they do lock down the towns? What if they get to that extreme? I don't know. So we got to get to Sheridan. We got to hurry up and get here. My priority was to get here, open up the church, and open up a food bank. That was my priority. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to do. I wanted to be a storehouse for people that had a need
Yes.
because we did not know what was going on. And so we revamped this place, and me and a couple other people, a couple friends, if you want to call them that, we got together in here and we fixed this place within a month.
Yeah.
We moved in within a month.
Mind you, whenever we first got here, we struggled with a little bit of electricity, but even God opened the door for that. I mean, we've been very blessed ever since we got here, and my husband did a phenomenal job for not knowing what to do. I mean, he did a great job.
Just think like a fort. And some things had to be fixed. I mean, some things like the floors and stuff, I didn't know how to stabilize the floors properly. We had to redo some things, but
But
it was
overall, I mean,
livable.
it's been very good. It's been very good. And just to hear the compliments of the people that come around and they're just like, this place looks great. You guys have done a great job, and not that we need the approval of man, because honestly, we did it for the glory of God. We did it because we wanted people to see that Christ exists and that people do care about the church, and that was a big thing. And opening up the food, and we had a free clothing closet at that time, and opening that up and being that resource during the time of the shutdown. I mean, it was a big deal. It was a very big deal to a lot of people during the shutdown. Although, we seen businesses shut down and we heard about how cops would stop by and make sure that certain businesses were not running and stuff like that. We never shut down. We kept our doors open. We didn't announce it. We We did do live streaming,
We weren't going to
but
kick anybody out. I mean, there's plenty of room.
we made sure that it was available if anybody wanted to come in.
Right.
So we did not shut the doors, and we continued to do what we could to provide resources. So we were very glad whenever the shutdown was lifted, and we were able to continue. And I remember right after we closed down the clothing closet because we ran out of space and storage area, and we were getting so many donations, and we were pretty short-handed in that area. So we ended up shutting it down temporarily. Hopefully one day we'll get it back open. We still do the food distribution, and that is such a blessing. But I had one of the ladies that comes a lot to the food bank. I don't remember her name, but very sweet lady. And she asked me one day, she goes, "Why are you so nice? Why do you guys give everything away? Because we don't get paid as pastors here. We just honestly feel like we were brought here to serve, and we are the ones to build it. The first people were here to clean it up or to kick everybody out that wasn't good, and we are here to build it up. And so we are here to serve. And the only thing that I could tell that lady, it was only by the grace of God that we're doing what we are. And
Well, and I think that's exactly the point. I mean,
and
we
I told her we
can do
cared.
it because God gives us the ability to do it.
Mhm.
I think otherwise, I think we would, quite frankly, just phase out. There's so many people that quit, and they quit for the wrong reasons, but they quit because either they're looking for a certain amount of satisfaction, they're looking for some sort of personal reward, and they think that that's going to be enough. And all these reasons why people phase out on things, but you have to do it with a giving heart. You have to do it because you want to do it. And in this case, for us, our driving factor is for the glory of God. We want people to feel welcome. We want it to be an outreach. We want, we want to be able to reach out to the people to be able to, if they want to come to us and ask us questions about God, we want to be able to just be loving and helpful to them. I mean, these are our reasons.
Yeah.
Our reasons are simply for the ministry, as our motto is with PCG, loving people and loving God. That's all we do. And why do we do it? My best answer is why not?
Yeah.
What else
Why
would
not?
we be doing? I could, I mean, if I had a life that was self-consumed, I mean, I don't know why I always think about this, but a diamond may be pretty and it may be expensive, but it's hard, it's cold, it's rough, there's no love in it. And that's kind of how I feel, is that you can collect the diamonds of the world, but you're not, but the softer things in the world, the loving things in the world, those are the things that matter. They have longevity to them. They have value. They
Yeah.
have true value. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
Well, today, when it comes to the church, we feel pretty honored to be able to been able to have this time here to be able to connect to the people. During our national night out, we host that now. We kind of got thrown into that because we got a call from our district, or it's our county supervisor who knows us quite well, and she was like,
Well,
"Hey,
first it was actually from a friend.
who's doing national night out? Are you guys doing that?" But we had already been hosting the parades that are here. We host the 4th of July parade, and we also host the Christmas parade, and we've hosted other events. And so people automatically look towards us whenever it comes to events in the town. They're like, "Hey, are you running this?" And I'm like, "Well, we can."
First off, it was a friend, if you remember, and she's like, "Hey, are you guys doing it?" And we decided not to do it. And when she asked if we were doing it, like, I guess we're doing it. And
Yeah,
so
that
we
was the
jumped
first
right
time.
into it. And I think we had like 2 days or something like that to
Yeah,
put
we
it
only
all
had
together.
2 days, but we did
Yeah.
it. We put it together, and then last year we had a little bit more help, and we got it all up and running. And I think it's pretty awesome that, the county supervisor showed up and she supported us, and then we also had the mayor of Lincoln show up and she supported us, and then we also had, of course, the first responders. We had the fire department, police department, Placer County Sheriff.
All good people. Really, I mean,
They
very
even
helpful in the community.
Yeah, they even did a flyby with one of the police helicopters came by for our national night out. So that was pretty cool. And then we were blessed with donations to get the bounce house up and going. And it seems like whenever we host events here in Sheridan, we have been very blessed. We've had help to continue to open that up. And so that's just who we are. I mean, We don't do it for any kind of recognition or anything like that. We just do it because we want to get to know our neighbors. We want to show them that there's someone out here that actually does care. There's people out here that have a heart, people that are kind. Why? Because we carry the love of Christ in us. So,
And another praise report that I'd like to say is we used to do a lot of this stuff on our own. When we started out, we did a lot of, I mean, the whole food bank, I did by myself for the most part. Lisa was not available for whatever reason. I forgot why exactly, but a lot of it I did.
that was when Iris was a baby.
No, I think it was when you were working.
Oh,
But anyway, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
The point is that I had to shoulder a lot of that, and and do the food bank. But now we have help all the time. People are always asking to help out. I got good friends. That I got one friend in particular. I try not to use names, but I have one friend in particular that is like kind of a second in command that is helping me out with everything. If I'm not there, he's there. A lot of his friends have been there to help out. I mean, it's been great. I
Yeah.
mean, I have another friend down the road who's been with us for the long haul, and she comes in and she always I came, a little bit late, but I came. She always saying that to me, and I'm like, it's good to have you. We've been very, very blessed in that. Like I said, like she said about the water slide, we put a post up, said, hey, we need donations for the water slide. And another friend called us, text me actually, and said, I'd like to pay for that. And I mean, that's just awesome. And that's one thing I can say about this community for being a very private community. What I mean is pretty much to themselves in a lot of ways
Yeah,
and pretty much withdrawn and likes to be pretty much left alone. We moved out here in the sticks for a reason. But at the same time, they really come together. When there's a
they
need,
do.
they come together and they're very, very generous at heart. I take a lot of pride in that. Even the neighboring communities, in the neighboring towns, we're in Sheridan, so talking Wheatland, again, I mean, I think we all kind of work together, and it's really been a blessing.
There was another instance, we knew somebody that was in need of a walker, and my husband put up a post, "Hey, I need a walker urgent right now," and
Yeah,
we ended up getting that, like, that night within a few hours. I mean, it's been
a few minutes.
yeah,
She texts me
yeah.
back immediately.
And that person was such a blessing. They gave this walker, and I mean, it's not one of the cheap ones either. It's one of the expensive ones with the seat
It's
on
very
it. It's
nice.
very
Yeah,
nice. And so we were able to bless that person that needed a walker. So I mean, God has pretty much provided through the people, and because we show our kindness to them through the love of Christ, we have been getting it back. So I just give God all the glory for that. And so now we have started a new fundraiser to help our church, and that is through a shoe drive. I found a company called funds2orgs.com, and you can look them up. But what they do is they help nonprofit organizations, and they pay them per pound of shoes. Now, what they do with the shoes is they send them over to underdeveloped countries, and it gives people that don't have a means to support their families. They give them the shoes so they can sell them, so that way they can support their families. And we're talking countries that have to have water trucked into them because they don't have water.
third world country.
Yeah, third world countries, places that don't have the same resources that we have. So, I mean, it's a really good company that we're working with, and all we got to do is collect shoes. And so far, we've got 9 bags. We need 100 bags. So we're well on our way, but we're just starting out. But we need
Each
100
bag
bags
is
of
of 25. Yes.
25 pairs of shoes in each bag. And so essentially, if you do the math, it's 2,500 pairs of shoes. That's a lot of pairs of
It's a lot of
shoes.
shoes, and it's gonna stink.
Yeah. So right now I've just bagged up the 9 bags that we have, and we have another bag that only has 18 pairs of shoes in it. So we still got to add to that one. But we're in the process of setting up donation spots. We're looking for people that's willing to host the box to collect shoes for us.
What kind of shoes?
The shoes that we are collecting are going to be gently used or new shoes. They have to have the soles intact, no tears, but they can have a few miles on them. They can be dirty. They can be a little bit worn, but that's
Gently used.
okay. But as long as, they're still in good condition, so that way they can be worn again. That is the number one requirement, is that the shoe can be worn again.
I like the term that you use, gently used.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, not all used up, but gently used.
Yes, gently used. So, and I think the best part is that whenever you get rid of those shoes, you're cleaning out your closet for one. So therefore, you're adding more space, and everybody needs more space. Spring cleaning is a good time to do that, but right now it's going to be winter cleaning.
And also, it's a pretty easy donation.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, for the
doesn't
most
cost any
part, I
money.
mean, people, they most people have shoes for the most part, and it doesn't put a lot of strain on the community.
Yeah.
So they can give back and help out, and at the same time, it blesses the church, it blesses the community. We have Christmas coming up, and we have our cocoa bar, and Santa's going to be in town. Which, by the way, he's going to need a little bit of stuffing this year.
Yeah, so we're going to be hosting Santa photos because of all these events. Doing the shoe fundraiser really helps. I mean, whenever we get the funds back, we put that all back into the community. We want to make sure that we're able to bless as many people as we can, and just give them a little bit of love. That's our main purpose.
And I think one of the things we've been investing in and what we want to continue to invest in is we want the community to trust us. And I think that we have earned a lot of respect in the majority of the community, how they've been very respectful to us. They've given us a chance. They've been good to us. And I think that we've earned that respect. Like I said, it's a very private town, but I feel that we've got that trust for the
Yeah,
most part. And like I said, I like how the community comes together and bonds together. I
I
really do.
do. I do. I like that too.
And I like how they say, hey, you're willing to help us, we're willing to help you.
Yeah.
And that's a real blessing. And that's how
Yeah.
it should be for communities. Because I've lived in apartments all my life, and I've had to go out of my way. And I'm not even really an out of my way kind of guy, as most of you know. But I've had to go out of my way and introduce myself and say, hey, my name's Cardan. I'd like to, introduce myself. I live over here. If you need anything, you're welcome to come talk to me. I'm your neighbor, or so forth. I want to know that somebody's going to watch my house when I go away.
Yeah.
Vice versa. I want to know who my neighbors are, as a sales tactic too. That when you go and you're friendly to people and you meet who they are, well, then people who are exposed, they know, to kind of, stay cool. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, in other words, light doesn't only hide, or excuse me, when you shed light into dark places, like in sales tactics, you're going to have less theft, for instance, if you go to a place where hey, how you doing, how can I help you today, can you find anything or whatever, that person's exposed is what I'm trying to say. And so you're also, I'm not saying my community, but I'm talking about like when I went out there to go introduce myself to my neighbors and stuff, I was also shedding light on the situation, so now they know that I know who they are. Know what I'm saying? And it's opening it up because there's a lot of people who, they do things in the shadows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They do things in the shadows. And if you don't pay attention to them and you don't know them and whatever, then, they're not going to respect you. They're not going to know who you are. But when you go up there and you say, hi, my name is such and such, and I'd like to be nice to you and so forth, they're going to treat you better too,
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of a roundabout way of saying that. But
I think the neatest part is the fact that because everybody knows us, we'll get calls if even our dog gets out. Hey, I saw your dog.
within minutes, which is good too, because, he's crazy. So
So, but we are looking forward to our upcoming events. Like it's the holidays. We get to spend Thanksgiving, and then right after that, we're going to have the parade coming up. And the parade's been a big deal each year. And we've been blessed at
it brings
last.
the community together.
Yeah, it does. And it's kind of nice that we open up the church and we let them finish off our cocoa bar because we have Santa photos the day before. And so we leave the cocoa bar out so that way all the parade entries can come in and use the restroom, make a cup of cocoa or coffee or whatever they want. And everybody just sits out there and chit chats while the pastor and I gather up with we have a couple community members that help us, and we go out and we judge all the floats. And this year, everybody voted on a cowboy Christmas. So I'm wondering how that's going to turn out. I know 4-H is going to go all out this year. I talked to the gal that's in charge of them. She goes, "Yeah, we're making plans, so we'll see how that works."
It is the country.
We are
It's
in the
really
middle
going to
of farm
hurt my
country.
Grinch costume.
The cowboy hat on the Grinch.
That's not funny.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope this helps you get to know us, get to know our church. And if you want to join us for service, we open the doors at 10:45 every Sunday morning. We have Bible study on Tuesdays now at 6 p.m. The ladies have just started gathering on Mondays at 6. So I do Bible study 2 times in a row. It's great. I love it. But we also have like food distribution and things like that. So look us up. You can find us on Facebook. We have a website. We're also on YouTube for our sermons. Just check us out.
Amen.
All right.
All right, let's pray this out. Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for this time, Lord. Lord, I pray that this simple story would inspire people's hearts, Father. Lord, service is for other people, Lord, and sometimes service is messy, but we got to stay focused on what service is. And service, you know what? I just feel like you just want to say service is love. When we're loving people, Lord, and loving God, that's what we need to do. So, Father, I pray that this is an inspiration. I pray that there's blessing upon others. I pray that there's blessing upon the church. And we thank you for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Have a good night.
I raise a high